Sometimes I come across a shoe and everything about it is just perfect. The right shoe at the right time. And what we're talking about is today's shoe, which is the upcoming release of the Nike Air Force One Wheat Mocha. And the reason why that is the shoe for this very moment, for this very channel, is because of a bunch of Air Force Ones that we've done already. And I'm talking some premium stuff out there. I'm talking some amazing collaborations, talking some standard colorways, the whole sort of spectrum of Air Force Ones that you can get. And here we are with one of the absolute classic all-time Air Force Ones. We're going back 19 years to 2001 when this was a Japan exclusive. And I'm here in Japan. In fact, I came to Japan in 1999. So if I'd have been into sneakers as much as I am now, 19 years ago in 2001, this would have been something I would have been all over. But back then, I had other things to do. But for now though, you know, it's a sort of retro, it's a throwback to 19 years ago, but it's also the recent past as well with all the Air Force Ones that are going on out there. And it's also these right here, another pair of Wheats, but this time from the Jordan line. So I've got to talk about this, I've got to talk about the recent Air Force Ones, and I've got to talk about the upcoming release of the Nike Air Force One Wheat Mocha. This is a Tokyo Butter 23 Sneakers channel. Tokyo Butter 23 Sneakers channelです。毎日アップするので、毎日見てください. And every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And like I said recently, there's been a bunch of Air Force Ones at the channel. We have to talk about this one right here, the Ruan Wang. I said Ruan Wang was from Korea because if you type in Ruan Wang Korea, you'll find tons of websites that say Korean artist, Korean artist, Korean artist, and that's where I got my information. But somebody checked me in the comments and said, you know what, Ruan Wang is actually from China, and I did a bit of research on the artist's own website, which is about as trustworthy as you can get. And true to form, I was incorrect, and it is that the artist is she is actually from China. So I pinned that guy's comment on that video and said, you know what, you are totally right. Thanks for letting me know, because I do love it when I learn from the comments, and I don't feel, you know, I'm not all that negative about it, like you don't know what you're talking about. If somebody's got a different point of view, definitely tell me in the comments down below, and I like nothing better than sharing different points of view and people tell me stuff that I don't already know. And in the case of those Air Force Ones, that's exactly what happened. Truly appreciate that. But there are other Air Force Ones as well. There were the Ridge Rocks, the Air Force One Craft Ridge Rocks, which I think the video for that I've messed up the timing on. I think it might be dropping tomorrow, even though I shot it before this video. Anyone a Beatles fan out there? You might not know this, maybe you do, maybe you don't know this, but the Beatles' last album that they released, I think, was Let It Be, but the last album that they recorded was Abbey Road, but they released them and recorded them out of sync with each other, and that's just what it's like at the Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker channel, like releasing and recording videos and dropping them out of time with the other. Yes, I just compared myself to the Beatles. Yes, that's exactly what I just did. My 1,500 plus subscriber YouTube channel is comparable to the greatest band of all time. Okay, so let's get back to reality and get back to this shoe and get back to these Air Force Ones. So one thing about this shoe, like I said, for me, is that it lines up really nicely with the recent Air Force Ones. Of course, the fact that it echoes back, retros back to 2001, and the co.jp sort of vibe of Japan only drops from 19 years ago, and here we are with a retro that's got a much wider release than just Japan only. And then there was this, like I showed you guys at the start of this video. I bring these guys out as often as I can because these were a gift from a viewer, and I absolutely love them. I think this is a beautiful shoe. It's one of the smoothest shoes I've ever touched in my life, and I can't bring myself to wear them yet. I'm sorry, I will find the right time to wear them, but a gift from a viewer is an amazing thing. These are Air Jordan 6 Wheats, so when I saw that there was a Wheat Air Force One coming down the line, I thought, you know, wow, it's a chance for me to bring out that shoe. And again, thank our dude in Europe, a dude in Belgium, for one of the greatest gifts I've ever had anywhere. I mean, getting gifts on YouTube is a great thing. So, but anyway, enough about that. Let's get into the shoes. A bunch of details on it. They just stand in contrast to some of the shoes that I've talked about recently. Again, I think I shot it before this video, but actually I'm gonna oh no, you know what? I think the Ridge Rocks and the Peace, Love and Basketball Air Force Ones will drop before this video. These guys drop on October the 8th, and those Ridge Rocks and the Peace, Love and Basketballs drop earlier than that. So so I'm wrong about getting them all upside down and out of line like the Beatles. So even that comparison to the Beatles was totally wrong. So fake news. But yeah, this video will definitely drop after all those other Air Force Ones, so you can definitely check out the links and whatnot to see back to those videos. And in particular, it's those Peace, Love and Basketballs that I want to compare to, because the Peace, Love and Basketballs had a really cool like story of colour that ran through the whole shoe. It started with like an aqua small swoosh on the front, and then back to a black swoosh that was outlined in aqua, and then down to magenta branding on the midsole, and then up to aqua and magenta branding on the tongue, and then onto the insole to magenta, aqua, black and yellow branding, and then onto the back to a magenta have a Nike day smiley face. And that story of the colours throughout that shoe really tied it together. And this shoe is the total opposite, because there's only one colour, there's only one story, and that story is wheat. And the reason I'm saying that, and hopefully you're looking at it now, is because this shoe is a wheat coloured shoe, but more than that, the stitching everywhere on this shoe is also wheat coloured. So any of that definition that you got in the Peace, Love and Basketballs, where the black swoosh had a blue aqua stitching outline on it to give it a bit of contrast, all gone on this shoe. There is nothing but wheat on the upper of this shoe. But the important point to bear in mind on all that is that the materials are an incredibly rich, super buttery suede, which is way above even the premium of the Ridge Rocks. They were Nike Air Force One Craft Ridge Rocks, which Craft, it already tells you they're premium, but these guys are another step above that. That beautiful suede on the upper is absolutely buttery and fantastic high quality premium material on this shoe for sure. So the top half of the shoe, all wheat, even the stitching, beautiful suede materials. Then we come down to the midsole, which for me is actually the biggest feature on this shoe, because it does two things that I have never seen before in Air Force Ones. Now that doesn't mean to say it hasn't happened before. It might have happened before and I just haven't noticed. But for me, the two major features on this are the midsole, and those two features are, one thing that I talk about all the time with Air Force Ones is this placement of the branding on the midsole, which says Air, and then it has a line that runs around to the medial side, from the lateral side to the medial side. And the thing that I always talk about is that sometimes, say, for example, if we take a look at this midsole, it's that gum sole midsole, and then the wheat branding, not the wheat branding, the Air branding, if it was in that gum sole color, it would not contrast, or if it was in black to contrast with that gum sole color, it would contrast and you'd be able to see it. Now that's the two choices as far as Air Force One goes: the exact same color as the midsole and the branding is kind of lost in it, or in contrast to the midsole and the branding really pops out. Why am I talking about that? And you're looking at this picture right here and you're kind of saying, I don't know what you mean in this butter, you've lost me a bit there. And what I'm talking about is the word Air is in that darker mocha brown that comes from that Wheat Mocha colorway title of this video, but the word Air itself is in that contrasted color, but the line that runs out either side of it and around to the medial side of the shoe is in the gum sole color. I've never seen that before in Air Force Ones. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's been other Air Force Ones and I just haven't seen it before, but I think it's super cool either way. Even if this isn't a particularly new feature, maybe it's new to me but not new to you, but I think it's very, very cool that the word Air is in contrast to the midsole, and the line that goes around is complementing the midsole. I've never seen it done in those two ways, which hopefully you're seeing here on the picture behind me here, so you kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. And then, like I said, the other thing on the midsole is the fact that it's a gum sole, but the outsole isn't a gum sole, which is kind of odd. If you said gum sole shoes, you'd think outsole, you wouldn't think midsole. And it looks like a semi-translucent outsole, not outsole, midsole, looking through that gum there. And it might just be a little bit translucent, but it doesn't look through to anything, so you can't really see anything on the inside. But there are a couple of places where you get that sense of a little bit of translucence looking through the midsole on there. And that's the gum sole midsole, which sits atop a very dark brown mocha outsole. And like I say, usually it would be the outsole that was gum sole and not the midsole. So that's kind of a neat feature. And like I say, that outsole, just give you a quick look at that mocha outsole. Very rich, very cool, and very complementary to the wheat that comes above it. Now, speaking of that mocha and that wheat kind of colorways, there's two places we need to look for the branding on this shoe. So let's go up to the tongues on these guys, where you can see that on the tongue you've got the brown banding, the brown branding panel with the wheat color branding on it that says Nike Air Force One, and you know what I think about that if you watch my channel. But the point is that the background's dark brown mocha and the writing is light brown wheat. And then if you go back from that into the tongues, you've got a similar sort of feel going on with the insole. Sorry, back from that from the tongues to the insole, you've got that similar mocha coloured insole with the wheat coloured branding on it. The reason I'm stressing that point is because when we flip these guys around and have a look at the heel, you can see it's the reverse of that. That wheat colourway on the upper isn't lost in the branding panel on the back of these guys, but the actual branding itself is embroidered in that darker mocha brown, which is in contrast to the tongues. So tongues, dark brown branding panel with wheat writing, and then heels, wheat branding panel with dark brown writing on it. So it's a contrast there, but very, very cool. And then coming back out, just the last thing, and like I said, it's October the 8th that these guys are dropping. There have been quite a lot of Air Force Ones stacking up at the channel and stacking up on the sneakers app and places like that. So it's a big thing. The Air Force Ones seem to be getting a big push. The summer was more about dunks, if you ask me, but it looks like the start of the autumn is going to be more about Air Force Ones, and then I would guess we push on into November and the Jordan brand will take over. It seems to be that the different brands under the Nike umbrella are having their time in the sun at different times. For now though, it's time for me to check out and say thank you very much for checking out the content today. I truly, truly appreciate it. It's pushing on for, just after midnight, and this is a work night, so I've got to go and chuck this video up into the computer and get me some sleep before work tomorrow. So thank you guys for checking out the content, truly appreciate it. One more time, I nearly dropped it. Just a thank you for the viewer out there that sent me a pair of Nike Air Jordan 6 Wheats, and this video gave me the opportunity to thank that viewer again one more time. So anyway, thank you guys for checking out the content. And I'll just do what I do at the end of every single video, which is remind you that I do this every single day, like every day. And that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.